Richmond, Virginia, July 2023. Terrence Washington came home from work to an unbearable odor. For 3 days, he complained to his landlord. For 3 days, nothing happened. So Terry did something most people wouldn't do. He climbed through a basement window to check on his elderly neighbor, a woman he hadn't seen in years, a woman named Dorothy Williams. What Terry found in that apartment would expose a decade-long secret. A secret that involved stolen money, a missing person, and a landlord who thought he'd gotten away with the perfect crime. This is the story of how one man's decision to check on his neighbor brought justice to a woman the world had forgotten. This is the story of Dorothy Williams and the landlord who collected $780,000 in Social Security payments over 10 years while she was still in the apartment. Let me tell you what really happened at 847 Riverside Apartments. Before we continue, I just want to say thank you for taking the time to hear my story. If you're comfortable, let me know where you're listening from and what time it is where you are. Now let me tell you the story. July 15th, 2023. Terrence Washington wipes sweat from his forehead as he climbs the stairs to his apartment building. It's 98 degrees outside, the hottest day of the summer, and he just had the worst day at work. His boss yelled at him for being 5 minutes late. Never mind that Terry's been working construction for 15 years without a single complaint. Never mind that he stayed 2 hours overtime last week without extra pay. 5 minutes late and suddenly he's unreliable. Then his coworker Dave made another joke about Terry's lunch. What is that, man? Smells weird. It was jerk chicken, his grandmother's recipe, but Dave thinks anything that isn't a ham sandwich is exotic. Terry's tired. He's 38 years old and his back hurts and his knees hurt and he just wants to go home, take a cold shower, and watch TV until he falls asleep. He reaches the 3rd floor of his building, 847 Riverside Apartments. He's lived here for 6 years. It's not fancy. The paint is peeling. The elevator hasn't worked in 3 years. But the rent is cheap and it's close to his job site. Terry puts his key in the door. That's when he smells it. Something terrible. Something unnatural. A heavy, chemical scent that sets off alarm bells in his brain. What on earth? Terry mutters. He looks down the hallway. The odor is coming from somewhere on this floor. Maybe the garbage chute. Maybe someone left food out. But it's intense. Really intense. Terry opens his apartment door. The air is heavy inside. His unit is directly above the basement level. Whatever is causing that scent, it's close. He drops his work bag on the couch, goes to the kitchen, opens the fridge to get a beer. The smell is so overpowering it ruins the taste. Terry walks through his apartment, trying to find where it's coming from. The bathroom? No. The bedroom? No. It's coming from below, from the floor itself. He goes back into the hallway, knocks on his neighbor's door. Mrs. Rivera opens up. She's 67, been living here longer than Terry. She's got a scarf wrapped around her nose and mouth. You smell that? Terry asks. How could I not smell it? Mrs. Rivera says. Her voice is muffled by the scarf. Started this morning. I already called Gerald. He said he'd take care of it. Gerald Hoffman, the landlord, 58 years old, white guy who inherited this building from his father. Charges as much rent as he can and fixes as little as possible. What'd he say it was? Terry asks. Mrs. Rivera shrugs. Sewer backup, or something in the walls. He said he'd call someone. Terry nods. All right. Thanks. He goes back to his apartment, tries to eat dinner. Can't. The odor kills his appetite. He opens all the windows. Doesn't help. It feels like the smell is inside the walls. Inside the floor. Everywhere. Terry lies in bed that night with a towel over his face. Can't sleep. It's too strong. He thinks about calling Gerald himself, but Mrs. Rivera already did. Gerald said he'd handle it. Terry finally falls asleep around 3 in the morning, has bad dreams, wakes up at 6 for work. The smell is still there. Day 2. Terry goes to work, comes home at 5. The odor is worse. Now it's not just his floor. It's the stairwell. It's the lobby. Other tenants are complaining. Kevin Davis lives on the 2nd floor, 29 years old, works in IT. He's standing in the lobby when Terry walks in. You smell that? Kevin asks. Yeah, man. Started yesterday. I called Gerald 3 times today. He keeps saying he'll send someone, but nobody's come. Terry feels his jaw tighten. He told Mrs. Rivera the same thing yesterday. This is ridiculous, Kevin says. I can't work from home like this. I had to go to a coffee shop. My whole apartment smells awful. Terry goes upstairs, knocks on Gerald's office door. Gerald has an office on the first floor. He's usually there during business hours. Gerald opens the door. He's a big man, over 6 feet, balding, always wearing polo shirts that are too tight. What? Gerald says. The smell, Terry says. You said you'd take care of it. I am taking care of it. When? It's been 2 days. It's getting worse. These things take time, Gerald says. His voice is annoyed, like Terry is bothering him. I called a plumber. He'll be here tomorrow. A plumber? What if it's not the pipes? What else would it be? I don't know, but it smells terrible. Maybe an animal in the walls. Maybe you need an exterminator. Gerald's face hardens. I know how to run my building, Terry. The plumber will be here tomorrow. Until then, open your windows. I did open my windows. It doesn't help. Then I don't know what to tell you. Gerald starts to close the door. Terry puts his hand on the door. Hold on, we're paying rent. You need to fix this. And I said I will. Tomorrow. Gerald closes the door. Terry hears the lock click. Terry stands there for a moment, hands clenched. He wants to pound on that door. He wants to make Gerald understand how bad it is. But he doesn't, because men like Terry don't get to pound on doors. Men like Terry get evicted, get arrested, get told they're aggressive. So Terry goes back upstairs, takes a cold shower, lies in bed with the towel over his face again. Doesn't sleep. Day 3. Terry wakes up exhausted, goes to work. His boss asks why he looks tired. Terry says he's fine, gets through the day, drives home. The odor hits him in the parking lot. Before he even enters the building, it's that strong now. Terry walks into the lobby. 3 other tenants are standing there. Mrs. Rivera, Kevin, and Mr. Johnson from the 4th floor. Did the plumber come? Mrs. Rivera asks Terry. I don't know. I just got home. Nobody came, Kevin says. I was here all day. No plumber, no exterminator, nobody. Mr. Johnson shakes his head. Gerald's full of it. He's not sending anyone. He's just waiting for us to forget about it. How are we supposed to forget about this? Mrs. Rivera gestures at the air. The haze is visible in the hallway. I can't cook. I can't eat. I'm sleeping at my daughter's house tonight. Terry feels something snap inside him. 3 days. 3 days of this. 3 days of Gerald doing nothing. 3 days of coming home to a place that is unlivable. Where's it coming from? Terry asks. Basement, I think, Kevin says. It's strongest down there. Terry walks to the basement stairs. The door is usually locked. Gerald doesn't like tenants going down there. Says it's for storage and utilities only. Terry tries the door. Locked. He goes back upstairs. Knocks on Gerald's office door. No answer. He knocks again. Nothing. Terry pulls out his phone, calls Gerald's number. It rings 4 times, goes to voicemail. Gerald. It's Terry Washington in 3B. The smell is unbearable. You said a plumber was coming. Nobody came. You need to fix this today. Call me back. Terry waits. No call back. He goes upstairs to his apartment. The situation is worst in his unit because he's directly above the basement. He can't stay here, but he can't afford a hotel. Can't stay with anyone. His friend Isaiah is out of town for work. Terry sits on his couch, head in his hands. He's exhausted, he's angry, and he's had enough. That's when he remembers something. Dorothy Williams. She lived in the basement unit. Terry moved in 6 years ago. He used to see Dorothy sometimes, old black woman. Had to be in her 80s even back then. Always smiled. Always said good morning. But Terry hasn't seen Dorothy in years. When's the last time? He tries to remember. Not in the last year. Not the year before that. Has it been 3 years? 4? Terry gets up, goes into the hallway, down the stairs. The odor gets stronger with every step. He reaches the basement level. There are 2 units down here. One is just storage. The other is Dorothy's apartment. He's pretty sure. He's never been down here much. Gerald doesn't like tenants on the basement level. Terry walks to Dorothy's door. Knocks. Miss Dorothy, you there? No answer. He knocks again. Harder. Miss Dorothy? It's Terry from upstairs. You okay? Nothing. Terry puts his ear to the door. Doesn't hear anything. No TV, no movement, nothing. The scent is strongest here. Right at Dorothy's door. Terry's heart starts beating faster. Something's wrong. Something's very wrong. He tries the doorknob. Locked. Terry steps back. Looks at the door. It's old. Probably original to the building. Solid wood. But the frame looks weak. He could kick it in. But that's breaking and entering. That's illegal. Gerald would call the cops. Terry would get arrested. But what if Dorothy's in there? What if she fell? What if she's hurt? Terry walks around the basement level. There's a small window, high up, near the ceiling. It leads to Dorothy's unit. The window is open. Just a crack, but open. Terry looks around. Nobody's watching. He finds an old crate, stands on it, reaches the window, pushes it open wider. He hesitates. This is breaking and entering. This is a crime. But Dorothy could be hurt. Dorothy could need help. And that smell, that terrible smell, it's coming from inside. Terry pulls himself up, squeezes through the window, drops down into Dorothy's apartment. The air inside is thick. Terry gags, covers his mouth with his shirt. His eyes water. He can barely breathe. The apartment is dark, curtains drawn. Terry pulls out his phone, uses the flashlight. The place looks frozen in time. Old furniture, newspapers on the coffee table. The date on the top paper, September 2013, 10 years ago. Terry's hands are shaking. Miss Dorothy? No answer. He walks through the apartment. Living room, empty. Kitchen, empty. Bathroom, empty. One more room, a back bedroom. Terry pushes the door open. The atmosphere is heaviest here. He gags again. His phone light catches something in the corner. A freezer. Old chest freezer. White. Humming quietly. Except it's not humming. It's silent. Terry walks closer. The freezer lid is closed. There's a towel shoved around the edges. Like someone tried to seal it. Terry's heart is pounding. He has a terrible feeling. But he has to look. He has to know. He reaches for the lid. Pulls it open. Terry stumbles backward. Hits the wall. Slides down to the floor. Inside, the freezer, was Dorothy. Terry's vision goes white. He can't breathe. Can't think. It's a nightmare. It's impossible. But it's real. A floral dress. A familiar face, frozen in time, hidden away in the dark. Dorothy Williams. He scrambles to his feet, runs out of the bedroom, out of the apartment, back to the window, climbs out, falls to the ground outside. He lies there for a moment, gasping. The fresh air burns his lungs, but it's better than what was inside. Terry pulls out his phone, hands shaking so bad he can barely dial. Calls 911. 911. What's your emergency? Terry tries to speak. Can't. Tries again. I found a body. There's a body in my building. Sir, can you repeat that? A body. In the basement apartment. 847 Riverside Apartments. Are you sure? Yes, I'm sure. Please send someone. Please. Officers are on the way. Stay where you are. Don't touch anything. I won't. Just please hurry. Terry sits on the ground, staring at Dorothy's window. He can't believe what he just saw. Can't process it. Dorothy Williams. Gone. In a freezer. For God knows how long. Sirens approach. Fast. 2 police cars pull up. Officers get out. Terry stands. Waves them over. I'm the one who called. I found her. The officers approach. One of them is a black man, 42 maybe. Name tag, says Bennett. Sir, I need you to stay calm. Tell me what happened. Terry explains. The smell. 3 days of complaints. Gerald doing nothing. Checking on Dorothy. Climbing through the window. Finding the freezer. You broke into the apartment? Officer Bennett asks. The window was open. I was checking on my neighbor. I thought she might be hurt. And what did you find? A body. In a freezer. In the back bedroom. It's Dorothy Williams. She lived there. Officer Bennett exchanges a look with his partner. Show us. Terry leads them to Dorothy's apartment. They go in through the front door. Bennett has a master key that works on the building's locks. They enter. The odor hits them immediately. Both officers put their hands over their mouths. Jesus, Bennett's partner mutters. They walk through the apartment. Terry stays in the living room. Can't go back to that bedroom. Can't see it again. Bennett comes out 2 minutes later. His face is pale. He radios dispatch. We need homicide. We need the coroner. We need crime scene. We've got human remains. More sirens. More cars. The building fills with police. Crime scene investigators in white suits. Photographers. A medical examiner. Terry sits on the stairs, head in his hands. An officer gave him a bottle of water. He can't drink it. Can't do anything but stare at the floor. Officer Bennett comes over, sits next to him. I need to ask you some questions. Okay. How did you know the victim? Dorothy Williams. She lived here. I used to see her around, but I haven't seen her in years. 3? 4? I don't know. And you climbed through her window because of the smell? Yeah. The smell started 3 days ago. We all complained to the landlord, Gerald Hoffman. He said he'd fix it, but he didn't. Today I realized it was coming from Dorothy's unit. I knocked. No answer. I got worried. So you broke in. Terry looks at Bennett. I didn't break in. I checked on my neighbor. I thought she might be hurt. Through a window. Yes. Bennett writes this down. Where's the landlord now? I don't know. His office is on the first floor. But he didn't answer when I knocked earlier. Bennett stands. Wait here. Terry waits. Watches police go in and out of Dorothy's apartment. Watches the medical examiner carry equipment inside. Watches photographers document everything. Then he hears a voice. Loud. Angry. What's going on? Why are police in my building? Gerald Hoffman. Coming down the stairs, wearing his too-tight polo shirt. Face red. Officer Bennett intercepts him. Are you the owner of this building? Yes, Gerald Hoffman. What's happening? We found human remains in the basement unit. Gerald's eyes widen. What? Where? Apartment Bone. Registered to a Dorothy Williams. Dorothy? Gerald looks genuinely surprised. But she moved out. Years ago. When exactly? I don't know. 2013? 2014? She told me she was moving to a nursing home. I haven't seen her since. But her unit is still here, and someone has been paying the rent? No. The unit's been empty. I've been meaning to clean it out, but I haven't had time. Bennett's face hardens. The discovery we made suggests the victim has been there for approximately 10 years. Gerald's surprise looks real, but then his eyes land on Terry, sitting on the stairs, and his expression changes, becomes angry. What was he doing in there? Gerald points at Terry. That apartment is off limits. He had no right to go in there. He was checking on a neighbor, Bennett says. Checking on her? By breaking and entering? I want him arrested. He broke into my property. Terry stands up. I was trying to help. You weren't doing anything about the smell. That doesn't give you the right to break into someone's apartment. She's dead, Terry shouts. She's been gone for 10 years and you didn't even notice. How would I notice? She told me she was moving. Then why is she in a freezer in your building? Gerald sputters. I don't know. Maybe someone did this to her. Maybe you did. Me? I moved in 6 years ago. I didn't even know her. Officer Bennett steps between them. Both of you need to calm down. Mr. Hoffman, we're going to need to ask you some questions. Mr. Washington, you too. A woman approaches. 45 maybe. Professional clothes. Detective's badge on her belt. I'm Detective Lisa Reeves. Homicide. Who found the victim? Officer Bennett gestures at Terry. Terrence Washington. Lives in 3B. Detective Reeves looks at Terry. Her face is unreadable. Mr. Washington, I need you to come to the station. We need your statement. Am I under arrest? No. But you entered a crime scene. I need to know exactly what you did and what you touched. I didn't touch anything, just the freezer lid. And then I got out. Let's go over this at the station. Terry looks at Gerald. Gerald staring at him, eyes cold, calculating. Terry realizes something. He's in trouble. He entered Dorothy's apartment without permission. Even if he had good reasons, it's still legally complicated. And Gerald is the building owner. Gerald has money, lawyers, power. Terry has none of that. Detective Reeves drives Terry to the police station. He sits in an interview room, not a cell, but it feels like a cell. Gray walls, metal table, chair bolted to the floor. Reeves comes in with a folder, sits across from him, turns on a recorder. State your name for the record. Terrence Washington. Mr. Washington, walk me through what happened today. Starting from when you got home from work. Terry tells her everything. The odor. 3 days of complaints. Gerald's promises. The decision to check on Dorothy. Climbing through the window. Finding the freezer. Calling 911. Reeves listens, doesn't interrupt, takes notes. How well did you know Dorothy Williams? I didn't really know her. I'd see her in the hallway sometimes. She seemed nice, always said good morning. When's the last time you saw her? Terry thinks. I don't know. 3 years ago? 4? I didn't really think about it. People move. I figured she moved. Did anyone tell you she moved? No. I just assumed. Reeves writes this down. The landlord, Gerald Hoffman. He says you broke into the apartment. Is that true? The window was open. I climbed through. I was worried about Dorothy. But you didn't have permission to enter. Terry feels his chest tighten. Are you going to arrest me? That depends. Mr. Hoffman is pressing charges for breaking and entering. Trespassing. Property damage. Property damage? I didn't damage anything. He says you forced the window open wider. It was already open. Reeves holds up a hand. I'm just telling you what he's claiming. Whether we pursue charges depends on several factors, including the investigation into Miss Williams' passing. You think I had something to do with that? Did you? No. I told you. I just moved in 6 years ago. I didn't even know her. But you knew where she lived. Everyone in the building knows the layout. It's not a secret. Reeves closes her folder. Here's what's going to happen. We're investigating Miss Williams' death. The medical examiner will determine the cause and timeline. We'll interview other tenants. We'll look into Mr. Hoffman's claims. Until then, you're free to go, but don't leave town. Am I a suspect? Everyone's a suspect until we know what happened. Terry feels sick. This is wrong. All of it. He tried to help. He tried to do the right thing. And now he's a suspect. Now Gerald is pressing charges against him. Reeves stands. Do you have a lawyer? No, I can't afford one. You might want to get one. Even a public defender, just in case. Terry leaves the police station, takes the bus home. It's after midnight. The building is surrounded by police tape. Crime scene investigators are still working. Terry goes to his apartment, can't sleep, keeps thinking about Dorothy, about that freezer, about her fate. Who did that to her? Why? And why didn't anyone notice she was gone? The next morning, Terry wakes up to his phone ringing. It's his boss. Terry, I heard about what happened at your building. Are you okay? Yeah, I'm fine. You're not coming in today, are you? I was planning to. Take the day off. Get your head straight. We'll see you Monday. Terry hangs up. He's grateful for the day off, but he's also terrified. Taking time off means less money, and he might need that money for a lawyer. He turns on the TV. The news is covering the story. Human remains found in Richmond apartment building. Police say the victim may have been there for up to 10 years. They show footage of Terry's building, crime scene tape, police cars, and then they show Terry. A photo someone must have taken on their phone. Terry walking out of the building with Officer Bennett. Sources say a tenant discovered the victim after entering the apartment. Police are investigating whether that tenant is connected to the death. Terry's phone rings. His friend Isaiah. Bro, I just saw the news. Are you okay? No, man. I'm not okay. What happened? Terry explains everything. Isaiah listens, doesn't interrupt. That's messed up, Isaiah says. You were trying to help. Tell that to Gerald. He's trying to get me arrested. He can't do that. You found her. You called the cops. You did the right thing. But I entered the apartment without a key. That's what they're focused on. You didn't break in. You climbed through an open window to check on an old woman. Any reasonable person would do the same. I hope the police see it that way. They will. And if they don't, we'll find you a lawyer. I'll help, whatever you need. Terry feels tears in his eyes. Thanks, man. That's what friends are for. Hang in there. Terry hangs up, turns off the TV. He can't watch anymore. The next few days are a blur. Police interview everyone in the building. Mrs. Rivera, Kevin Davis, Mr. Johnson, everyone. Terry stays in his apartment. Doesn't go to work, doesn't go outside. Just waits. 4 days after finding Dorothy, Detective Reeves calls. Mr. Washington, can you come to the station? We have some information. Terry's heart pounds. Am I being charged? Just come in. We'll talk. Terry takes the bus to the station, sits in the same interview room. Reeves comes in. This time she's smiling, just a little. Mr. Washington, I have good news. You're not a suspect. Terry exhales. Feels like he's been holding his breath for 4 days. Really? The medical examiner determined Dorothy Williams passed away in 2013, 10 years ago. You didn't move into the building until 2017, 4 years after her death. There's no way you were involved. So I'm cleared? Yes, completely. What about Gerald's charges? The breaking and entering? Reeves' smile widens. Gerald Hoffman has bigger problems than you checking on a neighbor. She opens her folder, slides photos across the table, bank statements, account records. Dorothy Williams received Social Security payments, $6,500 per month. Those payments continued from 2013 until now, 10 years. $780,000. Terry stares at the numbers. But she's been gone since 2013. Exactly. Someone was collecting those payments. Someone had access to her bank account. Gerald. We pulled the records. He's listed as her landlord. But more than that, he had a debit card linked to her account. He's been withdrawing money, making purchases, paying his own bills. He was stealing from her. Yes, for 10 years. We believe he knew she was deceased. We believe he's the one who put her in that freezer. Because if anyone found her, the payments would stop. So he kept her hidden, kept her alive on paper, and kept stealing her money. Terry feels cold. That's why he didn't want anyone in the basement. Correct. He controlled access. He made excuses. He told people Dorothy moved. But really, she's been in that freezer the whole time. Oh my God. Reeves closes the folder. We arrested Gerald this morning. He's being charged with murder, elder abuse, Social Security fraud, grand theft. He's facing life in prison. Terry can't speak, can't process it. Gerald, the landlord, ended Dorothy's life, hid her, stole her money for 10 years. What about the charges against me? Terry asks quietly. Dropped. The district attorney reviewed your case. Given the circumstances, your actions were reasonable. You had no way of knowing Dorothy was deceased. You were checking on a neighbor. The DA isn't pursuing charges. Terry puts his head in his hands, wants to cry, wants to scream, wants to do something, but he just sits there. Mr. Washington? Reeves' voice is gentle. You did the right thing. If you hadn't gone into that apartment, we never would have found her. Gerald would still be stealing from her, still getting away with it. You brought her home. That matters. Terry looks up. I just wanted the smell to stop. I know. But you did more than that. You gave Dorothy justice. 2 weeks later, the building is back to normal. The crime scene tape is gone. The police are gone. New tenants are moving in. Gerald Hoffman is in jail. No bond. Too much evidence against him. His lawyer tried to argue it was an accident, that Dorothy died of natural causes, and Gerald panicked. But the medical examiner found evidence of foul play, significant trauma. It wasn't an accident. Gerald was responsible. The trial is set for next year. But everyone knows how it will end. Life in prison. Terry goes back to work. His boss doesn't ask questions. His co-workers don't make jokes. Everyone heard what happened. Everyone knows Terry's a hero, even if he doesn't feel like one. One evening, Terry comes home to find a woman waiting in the lobby. She's 72. Black, gray hair, kind face. "Are you Terrence Washington?" she asks. "Yes, ma'am. I'm Gladys Thompson. I used to live in this building. I was Dorothy Williams' friend." Terry's throat tightens. "I'm sorry for your loss. Thank you. I wanted to meet you, to thank you, for finding her, for bringing her home. I didn't do anything special. I just climbed through a window." "You did more than that. I asked Gerald about Dorothy years ago. 2014. I moved out, but I wanted to stay in touch with her. Gerald told me she moved to a nursing home. He said she didn't want visitors. I believed him. I should have checked. I should have made sure. You couldn't have known. Neither could you. But you checked anyway. When something seemed wrong, you didn't ignore it. You acted. That takes courage." Terry doesn't feel courageous. He feels tired. "I just hope she's at peace now." "She will be. I'm arranging her funeral. I was wondering if you'd come." She didn't have family, but she had neighbors. She had friends. "I think she'd want you there." "I'll come." The funeral is 2 weeks later. Small service at Riverside Baptist Church. The same church Dorothy attended for 40 years until she disappeared. Terry sits in the back. Doesn't know most of the people here. Mrs. Rivera is there, a few other neighbors, Gladys Thompson, and Pastor Williams. Pastor Williams gives the eulogy, talks about Dorothy's life. She was a school teacher, taught second grade for 35 years, never married, no children. But she loved her students, loved her church, loved her community. Dorothy deserved better, Pastor Williams says. She deserved to be remembered, to be mourned, to be honored. Gerald Hoffman tried to erase her, tried to make her disappear. But he failed. Because people like Terrence Washington refused to let our elders be forgotten, refused to let injustice go unanswered. Terry feels everyone looking at him. He wants to disappear, but he stays. For Dorothy. After the service, they drive to Riverside Cemetery. The plot is under a large oak tree. The gravestone is simple. Black granite, gold lettering. Dorothy Williams, 1924. 2013 beloved teacher finally home. They lower the casket into the ground. Gladys throws in the first handful of dirt, then Mrs. Rivera, then others. Pastor Williams invites Terry forward. Terry hesitates. He didn't know Dorothy. Not really. But he walks to the grave, picks up a handful of dirt, lets it fall. "I'm sorry I didn't find you sooner, Miss Dorothy," he whispers, "but I made sure he couldn't hurt anyone else." After everyone leaves, Terry stays, sits on the grass next to the grave. The sun is setting. The cemetery is peaceful. He thinks about Dorothy, about her life, about how she passed, about how she was forgotten, about how Gerald tried to erase her. But Dorothy wasn't erased. She's here. She's remembered. And Gerald is in prison where he belongs. Terry's phone buzzes. Text from Isaiah. "How'd it go?" Terry types back. "It was good. She's at peace now. You did good, man. Real good." Terry stands. Looks at Dorothy's gravestone one more time. "Rest easy, Miss Dorothy. You're home now." He walks back to his car. Drives home. The building has a new landlord. Young woman. Mid-30s. She actually fixes things when they break. Actually responds to complaints. Terry parks. Goes upstairs. The building smells normal now. Like cleaning products and someone's cooking. No more decay. He unlocks his apartment. Takes off his shoes. Sits on the couch. Turns on the TV. The news is covering Gerald's trial. He pleaded not guilty. His lawyer is arguing it was an accident. But the evidence is overwhelming. The discovery. The bank records. The witnesses. Mrs. Rivera testified. Said she asked Gerald about Dorothy in 2014. Gerald said Dorothy moved away. Told her not to worry. Kevin Davis testified. Said he noticed the basement door was always locked. Gerald said it was for security. Gladys Thompson testified. Said she tried to visit Dorothy. Gerald told her Dorothy was in a nursing home. Wouldn't say which one. Every witness told the same story. Gerald lied. Gerald covered up. Gerald knew. 3 weeks later, the jury returns a verdict. Guilty on all counts. Terry watches the news with Isaiah. They're eating pizza on Terry's couch. The reporter stands outside the courthouse. Gerald Hoffman has been found guilty of first-degree murder, elder abuse, Social Security fraud, and grand theft. Sentencing is scheduled for next month. He faces life in prison without the possibility of parole. Isaiah raises his beer. Justice. Terry clinks his bottle against Isaiah's. Justice. The sentencing hearing is on a cold morning in October. Terry takes the day off work, sits in the courtroom. Mrs. Rivera is there. Kevin, Gladys, Pastor Williams. All the people who cared about Dorothy. Gerald is led in wearing an orange jumpsuit, handcuffs, leg chains. He looks older, smaller, defeated. The judge is a black woman, 61. Name is Patricia Monroe. She's known for being tough on elder abuse cases. Mr. Hoffman, Judge Monroe says, you have been found guilty of murdering Dorothy Williams, a defenseless 89-year-old woman. You ended her life. You hid her, and you stole from her for 10 years. $780,000. Gerald stares at the floor. You showed no remorse, no empathy. When Mr. Washington discovered your crime, you tried to blame him, tried to have him arrested. You are a coward and a thief and a murderer. Judge Monroe looks at her papers. I sentence you to life in prison without the possibility of parole for the murder of Dorothy Williams. I sentence you to 20 additional years for Social Security fraud and grand theft. These sentences will run consecutively. You will spend the rest of your life in prison. You will never see freedom again. The courtroom erupts. People clapping, crying, hugging. Gerald is led away, doesn't look back, doesn't say anything. Terry watches him go. Feels nothing. No satisfaction. No happiness. Just tired. Outside the courthouse, reporters surround Terry. He doesn't want to talk, but they shove microphones in his face. Mr. Washington, how do you feel about the verdict? I feel like justice was served. Do you have anything to say to Gerald Hoffman? Terry thinks about it. No, I have nothing to say to him. But I hope he thinks about Dorothy every day. I hope he remembers what he did, and I hope he regrets it. What would you say to people who think you're a hero? I'm not a hero. I just did what anyone should do. I checked on my neighbor. That's all. But the reporters don't believe him. The next day, newspapers run headlines. Local man's courage brings justice for forgotten teacher. Hero tenant solves 10-year mystery. Terry throws the papers away. He doesn't want to be famous. Doesn't want attention. He just wants his life back. 3 months later, Terry is working late on a construction site. They're behind schedule. His boss needs the foundation poured by Friday. Terry's phone rings. Unknown number. He almost doesn't answer, but something makes him pick up. Is this Terrence Washington? Yes. This is Susan Crawford from First National Bank. I'm calling about the Dorothy Williams estate. Terry's stomach drops. What about it? Miss Williams had no living relatives, no will. Her estate went into probate. The court appointed a trustee to distribute her assets. Okay, her Social Security payments were stolen by Gerald Hoffman. But her apartment, her belongings, and her savings account were untouched. The total estate value is approximately $150,000. Terry doesn't understand. Why are you telling me this? The trustee reviewed the case. Given that you're the one who discovered the crime, given that you reported it to authorities, given that you ensured justice was served, the court has decided to award you a portion of the estate. $50,000. Terry drops his phone, picks it up. What? $50,000, Mr. Washington. The check will be mailed to you within 30 days. The rest will go to Dorothy's church and to a scholarship fund in her name. Terry can't breathe, can't think. I don't understand. Why me? Because you did the right thing. When no one else would. When it would be easier to ignore the problem. You acted. Dorothy's estate attorney believes she would want you to have this. Terry hangs up, sits down on a pile of lumber. $50,000. That's more money than he's ever seen. More money than he could save in 5 years. He could pay off his debts, fix his car, move to a better apartment, take a vacation, do something he's never been able to do. But all he can think about is Dorothy. Alone in that basement, For 10 years, while people walked past, while Gerald stole from her, while nobody noticed, Terry pulls out his phone, calls Gladys Thompson. Gladys? It's Terry Washington. Terry. How are you? I'm okay. Listen, I just got a call from Dorothy's estate. They're giving me $50,000. That's wonderful. You deserve it. No, I don't. I want to give it to Dorothy's scholarship fund. All of it. Gladys is quiet for a moment. Are you sure? Yes. Dorothy was a teacher. She loved kids. This is what she would want. Terry, you don't have to do this. I know. But I want to. Dorothy deserves to be remembered. Not for how she passed, but for how she lived. And if her money can help kids go to college, that's how she should be remembered. Gladys is crying. You're a good man, Terrence Washington. I'm just trying to do right by Dorothy. Terry donates the entire $50,000 to the Dorothy Williams Memorial Scholarship Fund. The fund will help students from underserved communities pay for college. Students who want to be teachers, like Dorothy. The news covers it. More headlines. Hero tenant donates entire inheritance to honor victim. Terry ignores them. Goes back to work. Goes back to his life. 6 months after Dorothy's funeral, Terry is walking home from work when he sees something. A billboard. Near the community college. Apply now for the Dorothy Williams Memorial Scholarship. Honoring teachers. Honoring service. Honoring community. There's a photo of Dorothy. Young. Smiling. Standing in front of a chalkboard. Terry stops. Stares at the billboard. Feels tears in his eyes. You're remembered, Miss Dorothy, he whispers. You're not forgotten. That night, Terry can't sleep. Gets up, makes coffee, sits on his couch in the dark. He thinks about that day. Finding Dorothy. Calling 911. The police. Gerald. The trial. Everything that came after. People call him a hero. But Terry doesn't feel like a hero. He just did what felt right. What anyone should do. But maybe that's what being a hero is. Doing the right thing when it's hard. When it's scary. When it would be easier to look away. Terry's phone buzzes. Text from Isaiah. You up? Yeah. Can't sleep. Wanna grab breakfast? My treat. Sure. They meet at a diner. 24 hours. Cheap coffee and greasy eggs. Terry's favorite place. Isaiah slides into the booth. You look tired. I am tired. Still thinking about Dorothy? Yeah. You did everything you could for her, man. You gave her justice. You gave her a scholarship in her name. She's remembered. I know. But I keep thinking about all the other Dorothys. People who die alone. People who are forgotten. People whose landlords steal from them. How many others are out there? Isaiah is quiet. I don't know. Probably a lot. And nobody checks. Nobody notices. Until it's too late. That's why what you did matters. You noticed. You checked. You refused to look away. Terry drinks his coffee. Stares out the window. The sun is rising. People are starting their day. Going to work. Living their lives. Somewhere in this city, there might be another Dorothy. Another person who's alone, who's forgotten, who's in danger. Terry can't save them all. Can't check on everyone. But he can pay attention. Can care. Can refuse to ignore the signs. That's all any of us can do. Terry finishes his coffee. Pays the bill. Walks home. The sun is fully up now. The day is starting. He passes Dorothy's billboard again. Stops. Looks at her photo. I'll keep checking, Terry says quietly. I promise. And he means it. Gerald Hoffman is 70 years old now. Still in prison. Still serving his sentence. He'll die there. Never seeing freedom again. Dorothy Williams is at peace. Buried under an oak tree. Her name on a scholarship. Her memory alive. And Terrence Washington goes to work every day. Lives his life. Checks on his neighbors. Pays attention to the world around him. Because sometimes, doing the right thing is all that stands between justice and tragedy. Sometimes one person refusing to look away changes everything. That's the story. Not about a hero. Not about a villain. Just about a man who smelled something wrong and refused to ignore it. Just about a woman who deserved better. Just about a community that finally came together. About justice delayed but not denied. About a freezer that held secrets for 10 years until someone had the courage to look inside. That's what happened at 847 Riverside Apartments. That's what happened to Dorothy Williams. And that's why Terrence Washington will never ignore a strange smell again. Because you never know what secrets are hiding in plain sight. You never know who needs help. And you never know when doing the right thing will change everything.